companies reporting earnings this week, but we're getting a bunch of the big caps. Which are the hottest big caps you should be watching this week? I took a look and I gathered five of the hottest. They're all trading near their 5-year highs, probably basically their all-time highs as well. And what are they? Let's dive right in. So the first stock is the old standby, Procter Gamble. As you can see, it has a perfect track record. It hasn't missed in 5 years, which isn't easy to do, especially during a global pandemic. It still had those meets or beats in there here in 2020 over here. And then it got the surge as, these types of consumer products were big as everybody was on the lockdown. But now these shares are kind of treading water here a bit, trying to, either to make the new highs, but breaking down a little bit here to start 2021. They're not cheap, trading at 24 times. So valuation could be a factor here, but we're going to find out on this earnings report just what's going on behind the scenes at Procter & Gamble. Then switching over to a completely different area, on Fastenal, ticker FAST. I bring it almost every quarter because it's one of the best performing stocks of like the last 20 or 30 years. And it's on the manufacturing construction side. That's where you see big gains as that area of the economy improves. And this chart is kind of showing you that it has improved as we've seen the big breakout off those coronavirus lows. And then we had 3 meets or beats here in a row. And now the shares are back up there on the possibility of maybe a big infrastructure plan in the Biden administration. Who knows if it'll happen? We've been talking about it for a couple of years now, but there seems to be a little more momentum for that. And Fastenal could be a beneficiary of that. So you see these shares busting out. Can it keep this momentum? We will see. Then we're going to switch over to healthcare. Big cap healthcare has also been real hot. Like a lot of things in the pandemic, obviously the healthcare side has gotten some momentum here, and you can see it's got a great earnings track record. United Health Group, UNH, one of the big health insurers, hasn't missed in the last 5 years. And these shares just keep on just basically grinding higher here, hitting new highs to start 2021. It's trading at 19 times, so it's a little pricey, but not overwhelmingly so compared to the rest of the market. So United Health Group, this is going to be one, people are going to be checking in on to kind of see what's going on with the insurance side, especially as we get this changeover back to a Democratic administration in the White House. How will that influence their business? These are all questions to tune in for. Then we're going to go to transportation. I told you this was a diverse group, and this is a railroad, Union Pacific, UNP. It's one of my favorite railroads. They've had a few misses here or there. They did have a miss last quarter during the pandemic, and but shares briefly slid there and now have returned to new all-time highs. And look at this chart. It's pretty impressive for a railroad. I think if you would have not known that this was Union Pacific, you would never have guessed that this was a company that's over, over 150 years old now. And so this is impressive. They're not cheap anymore either, trading at 23 times. But so far, people seem willing to pay for these earnings at that slightly more expensive price. But will that continue? This is one to check out. And then we're going to finish it up with an equally hot chart. Gosh, so many of these look very similar. Intuitive Surgical, ISRG. They make the Da Vinci surgical system. So they had an issue at the start of the pandemic because a lot of surgeries were postponed and people were not buying the system. But that was just a delay because as soon as everything else reopened, so did surgeries and so did demand, and demand has returned. We see 2 big earnings beats here as the demand returned, and the shares keep grinding higher after a couple of years of just basically treading water there in 2018, 2019. So can it continue with this great rally? It's now trading at 59 times earnings. It's got a great product, but some investors got to be asking how much are they going to spend for those earnings. So that's something to keep in mind when you see a lot of these hot big cap stocks is what are the valuations and can they really grow those earnings here in 2021 as the pandemic recovers. But Intuitive Surgical, a key one on the medical product side to watch. So in addition to these five stocks, there's a lot of other key big cap stocks that are reporting this week, a few more railroads, some airlines, and next week really begins the big push for the big caps. And this is kind of a key inflection earnings season and period for the big caps, which had a huge rally in 2020 and then kind of stalled while the small caps rallied to end 2020. But can they resume that rally here in 2021 on the pandemic recovery? We're going to see, and we're going to find out a lot of good info during this earnings season. So you don't want to miss a single episode of the Earnings All-Stars. I'm bringing you the top charts every week, and there's a lot of them. So be sure to subscribe at zacks.com/YouTube to get all of our great videos, including our top stock picks of the week and other videos on YouTube. So make sure you get it over there at zacks.com/YouTube. And I'll be back again next week when things really pick up on earnings with a bunch more Earnings All-Stars videos.